It's been 6 years since the release of Devil May Cry 5 and almost 5 years since the special edition released back in 2020. Devil May Cry 5 became one of the best action games of that year, and still to this day. The hype for Devil May Cry 5 was amazing. Waiting for a new trailer to drop, watching people's theories and thoughts about the game, waiting for a new gameplay clip to drop, and just seeing people being happy that Devil May Cry has returned. The hype was crazy. I still find it crazy that Capcom thought that the series needed to be rebooted in order to appeal to a more Western audience. I find it even crazier that the series was able to get unrebooted from the reboot that happened in 2013. I really can't think of any other series that went through that process, that got rebooted and then got unrebooted because the game was so disliked by many fans, and for good reason too.
And I got a bigger dick.
Yeah, let's not talk about that. The game's still fun though.
Oh, that's fucking sick.
Oh, that's fucking rock, dude.
Alright, that was really cool.
There was a lot of love put into Devil May Cry 5, from its combat to its visuals, its story, its music, and I love the fan service that we got in that game. From callbacks to the older games and to its small Easter eggs sprinkled around the game. Devil May Cry has become one of Capcom's top IPs, selling over 33 million copies as a franchise, and Devil May Cry 5 selling over 10 million copies. Capcom likes to make surveys from time to time talking about games, what we want to see, feedback on their games, etc. And in this one survey talking about games overall, people's favorite games, favorite characters and stuff like that, Devil May Cry 5 became people's favorite game, and Dante even became people's favorite character in that survey, showing us that, you know what? People like Devil May Cry and people like Dante. Not only that, but Devil May Cry has not one but 2 anime series. One being not so good, but let's not get into that right now. And with the release of the new anime, it brought in new fans to the series, with many people buying Devil May Cry 5 and the Devil May Cry collection, increasing the sales for the series. And as you can see, Devil May Cry 5 has, boosted in sales for sure. 1,000 units, 2,000 units, so it has been increasing over these years. Even the HD collection has increased in sale. Sure, Devil May Cry may not sell as much as Monster Hunter or Resident Evil, but they still produce numbers, which is important to see. And you can definitely thank these sales because of the new Netflix series that released in April. I brought in a lot of new fans into the series. I wanted to try out the series to see what it was all about. But what's important is that it's brought in new fans into the series to check out the Devil May Cry series. Devil May Cry 5 has risen into the top 5 franchises from Capcom. Devil May Cry being a very niche series and niche genre, of games, the character action genre. So it's up there in Capcom's top games for sure. We even got a new key art from Capcom's 2025 annual report featuring characters from many different series. We get Street Fighter, we get Mega Man, we get Darkstalkers, which again is also kind of crazy to see, Resident Evil, and then we got my boy Devil May Cry 1 Dante with the nice DMC1 outfit with Alistair in his back, all in his all glory. Like, oh my god. PGR even did a collab with the Devil May Cry series, adding Dante and Virgil as playable characters. Safe to say that Devil May Cry is a pretty cool and popular series.
Devil May Cry 5! 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 Devil May Cry 5, nigga!
So with the success of Devil May Cry 5, right? With the success of the anime, with the collabs and the surveys and all that stuff, right? The question that we all have been wondering, where is Devil May Cry 6? So last year, around August of 2024, we got the sad news that Hideaki Itsuno left Capcom. Many of us had different predictions, had theories here and there, thinking about why did Itsuno leave Capcom? Did they have some creative differences? Did he get tired of Devil May Cry and Dragon's Dogma? What was the reason? And we all had our theories, right? Pretty much everyone's theory, including mine. My theory was that the reason why Itsuno left the company was because, he wanted to get to work on something new. but Capcom wanted Itsuno to make Devil May Cry 6 right after completing Dragon's Dogma 2. And I'm pretty sure that didn't sit well with Itsuno. I'm pretty sure Itsuno got tired of being the Devil May Cry guy, the Dragon's Dogma guy, and wanted to move on to something else, to create something new. That's pretty much was my theory and pretty much everybody's theories. Recently, a few months ago, during August, I believe, we finally got confirmation on the reason why Itsuno left Capcom. I'm pretty sure you guys all know that Itsuno has moved on to Lightspeed Studios Japan to create some new original AAA IPs from scratch. Which again, you know, I'm looking forward to whatever he has in store for 100%. He has a great resume of games behind his back, so you know, I'm looking forward to it for sure. But recently this year, he has been getting a lot of new people from Capcom, right? He's been pulling people from Capcom and going to Lightspeed Studio, which again is really crazy and really honestly exciting to see. So this article is pretty great, you know. It talks about why Itsuno left Capcom and what's next for him in his new studio, Lightspeed Studio. All right, so with 2012's Dragon's Dogma, Hideaki Itsuno created one of Capcom's last wholly original AAA single-player franchises. Arguably, the next didn't arrive until last year's. Katsumi Goddess of the Palace, a 30-year company veteran, Itsuno is best known as a director behind the last 3 Devil May Cry games, full of Dragon's Dogma titles, and the classic fighting games such as Power Stone, Rival Schools, and Capcom vs. SNK. So yes, when you really think about it, Dragon's Dogma was like the newest IP from Capcom. Correct me if I'm wrong, but everything that Capcom produced were pretty much sequels of already existing franchises. That including Kurutsumu Gami Path of the Goddess, which is a game I still haven't played. Damn it. But it's just one of those games that were new to, you know, to Capcom, right? A new IP overall. Don't get me wrong, Capcom is already, you know, making a new IP with, you know, the new game. I forgot what it's called already. Pagarama? I forgot already. Pragmata, there we go. Pragmata, right? Which honestly, I'm very excited to see their new game. Honestly, it looks freaking awesome. It's a third-person shooter game mixed in with some puzzle solving during combat, which looks great. Aside from those 2 games, right, Dragon's Dogma was the only new original IP for Capcom, not a sequel from established franchises. It came to a surprise that the celebrated designer opened to end his time at the company last year, following the release of another title from the Capcom hit Convery Bell, the RPG sequel Dragon's Dogma 2. However, approaching his mid-50s, Itsuno complicated his future and decided he wanted to spend the remaining years of his career creating something new, rather than more sequels to franchises he felt he perfected. For me, based on my age, this is my last chance, Itsuno told VGC during a recent visit to his new studio, Lightspeed Japan, where he was given the opportunity to build an entirely new team and project by the owner, Tencent. The game industry has decreased the number of AAA releases, and I was asked to create a new AAA. I'm not young anymore, so more than now it's the right moment, it's more like this is my last chance to challenge myself. For Capcom, creating Devil May Cry and Dragon's Dogma sequels is a top priority, keeping in mind that making a game takes 4 to 5 years. This might be my last big opportunity. So we kind of hit it on the dot. It was kind of like the only big reason on why he would leave, you know? And honestly, I respect him. I respect the decision that he wanted to do for leaving Capcom. He wanted to try something new, and I do not blame him whatsoever. I can understand the feeling that Itsuno was going through, you know, trying to, you know, wants to make something new and original, but Capcom just wants you to keep making Devil May Cry games and Dragon's Dogma games. You know, Devil May Cry 5 being such an amazing action game, you know, and Dragon's Dogma 2 being for what it was, you know, even though some having its problems here and there, I can still see the enjoyment of that game. If you keep on making the same thing over and over again, especially, you know, you as an artist, you know, a director, you want to make something different, something new, something challenging for yourself in order for you to evolve as an artist or a director. And again, I completely understand, and I definitely respect his reasonings 100%. Before you realize you are working on making Devil May Cry 6 or 7, it's not like I don't want to make them. I do, but it's hard to balance the time it takes with the personal satisfaction of making them. And with Devil May Cry 5 and Dragon's Dogma 2, I really did what I wanted to make. Safe to say that the reason why we don't have Devil May Cry 6 as of now is because, well, Itsuno left the company. And I respect it. I respect it 100%. But I don't think the series is dead. You know, I don't think Devil May Cry as a series is dead, you know, because it's producing numbers. The Netflix anime series that's, you know, that's coming out next year, most likely in April, will probably bring in more new fans. Right now, I think Capcom just doesn't know what to do with the series because they kind of figured that Itsuno will handle the series, you know, moving forward and, you know, for future sequels. But then him leaving, Capcom was just like, oh shit, what do we do? For people, you know, worrying about, you know, next Devil May Cry game not gonna be a good Devil May Cry game, I completely disagree, you know, because, you know, I know there's talent in Capcom. There's people who have worked in Devil May Cry, have worked on Resident Evil, have worked on Monster Hunter, and, you know, showing you that there's talented people at Capcom. A lot of people were freaking out seeing all these new, you know, these designers, these directors leaving Capcom. Even the same thing with Platinum Games. Hideki Kamiya, right, leaving Platinum, which is a studio that he started. People are scared, like, oh shit, the company's gonna fall. They're not gonna produce new games and stuff like that. But like, no, you know, there's still talent there. There's a lot of talented designers at the company, you know, so I don't think it's going to be the end Devil May Cry games and overall, you know, making good quality games, because Capcom has been thriving. You know, Capcom has been thriving 100% with their games. I'm excited to see their new IP that's coming out next year, Pragmata. I'm excited to see Resident Evil 9. I'm excited to see a new Devil May Cry game whenever it gets announced. It's gonna happen. Maybe at the Game Awards. Who knows? Who actually knows? But we will get a new Devil May Cry game, you know? I don't think Capcom, as much as the joke is that, you know, Capcom hates the series, you know, doesn't want to see us DMC fans happy. I'm pretty sure Capcom knows that there's fans out there, that Capcom knows that there's people that want a new Devil May Cry game. So when is the release date or the announcement for Devil May Cry 6? I don't know. Alright, so this is me talking about out of my ass. This is nothing new, no new confirmation on anything. It's just me purely talking out of my ass. Most likely they just began development for the new Devil May Cry game. Honestly, I don't really see a new announcement of a Devil May Cry game, you know, being, at least Devil May Cry 6 being announced anytime soon, not even at the Game Awards, my honest opinion, honestly. Even though I'll definitely put on the clown face and be expecting a new Devil May Cry game announcement at the Game Awards, most likely it's not gonna happen. Most likely they just started development of a new Devil May Cry game. What Capcom has basically been doing is just, you know, announcing a game a year before release. So most likely that's gonna happen with Devil May Cry 6. We might honestly get the announcement and the release date of Devil May Cry 6 somewhere near 2028 to 2029. That is my honest and realistic prediction on when we'll get a new Devil May Cry game, because making a game takes a while. You know, making a good quality game takes a while, you know, 5 to 4 years. That's a good standard development time for a game. And that's my honest prediction on when we'll get a new Devil May Cry game. But I think it's also exciting seeing Devil May Cry being developed by a new director, a new vision for the series, you know, because they could definitely bring in new ideas to the series, some new stuff, new mechanics overall. I think if they keep the core elements that make Devil May Cry, I think they'll succeed. It could be the same thing with Devil May Cry 4 and 5. They'll probably be focused on a new protagonist, maybe, or hell, maybe Dante might get the spotlight once again. Again, who really knows? Maybe Virgil will finally be a playable character and not just be special edition only. You know, he might just be an official playable character from, you know, from launch day, you know? You know, new stuff can happen with the series, you know? I don't think the series is dead. I don't think Capcom hates us Devil May Cry fans. I'm pretty sure we are in good hands. We just gotta wait a couple more years until we get a new Devil May Cry game. I know it sucks. We're gonna have to wait 10 more years for a new Devil May Cry game. That's basically our curse of Devil May Cry fans. We gotta wait 10 years for a new installment of Devil May Cry. Or they could pull off a 180. You know, maybe at the Game Awards they'll announce a Devil May Cry 1 remake, but then in the background they're making an actual sequel to Devil May Cry 5. They're making a Devil May Cry 6 in the background. Maybe they have two teams, because that's basically what they did with Resident Evil. A different team remade Resident Evil 2, and another team remade Resident Evil 3, and you could definitely tell because there were different qualities of games, you know. And the same team that made Resident Evil 2 made Resident Evil 4, you know. So maybe they could do that. Maybe could they pull that off, right? Who knows? Devil May Cry 1 remake, and then literally like next 2 years, Devil May Cry 5, you know, being developed by two different teams. Again, Who knows, right? Who knows the future? But I know there is a future in Devil May Cry. You know, there is a future for us fans. We just gotta wait. We just gotta wait for a little bit. But we'll get a game in the upcoming years for sure. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this Devil May Cry video. I have been lacking on my Devil May Cry videos, forgive me. I've been too busy grinding on the Ninja Gaiden series for sure. I've been playing a lot of Ninja Gaiden 4. That game is super fun. I love it. But if you do plan on bringing more action game discussion and videos to the channel. But let me know you guys' thoughts on the Devil May Cry 6 discussion. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed. Definitely does help out the channel. Also, if you really did enjoy the video, want to support me, you know, as me being a small creator, when you give this video a thumbs up, it gives you the option to hype the video up. It's a new feature that YouTube never told me about. I just recently kind of discovered this when I was playing it, when I was uploading my Ninja Gaiden videos and looking at it. You know, just to, you know, to give the video a little bit of boost to help us small creators hype up the video, spread it around. You know, I got some more Devil May Cry videos planned out in the future, so like some more playthroughs and stuff like that, and action games in general. But anyway, appreciate y'all support, and yeah, I'll see you guys on the next video. Keep it stylish. Keep it stylish. Is that gonna be my new slang for the end of the videos? I don't know. All right, y'all. Peace.